Welcome to NBR Today. The 2018 TIN report shows turnover for New Zealand's top 200 technology and high-tech manufacturing companies increased by 11% to just over $11 billion in the past year, while there was also a record rise of 38.1% to $1.2 billion in profitability. Exports have driven the rapid growth in the sector. Greg Shanahan, Managing Director of tech consultancy TIN, believes the tech sector has the potential to oust dairy and tourism to become the country's top source of overseas income within the next few years. But others aren't so sure it can be achieved that fast, as there's still a big gap. Mr Shanahan spoke to NBR's Fiona Rotherham about where he sees the sector in the next decade.
And it's not just in the case of the growth, but so many symptoms point to it in terms of the spread of growth geographically, the spread of growth in terms of not just large companies but small companies, companies moving towards profitability and being able to continue that growth, even though they're cutting back some of their costs. There's a lot of more maturity and sophistication in the market, and I think we've got to acknowledge that this is something that New Zealand is really good at.
Transport Minister Phil Twyford has today defended Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern's announcement yesterday that there will be no new regional fuel taxes anywhere while she is Prime Minister. Her announcement saw National Party leader Simon Bridges describe it as a back down, and that he thought Mr Twyford hadn't been consulted before the Prime Minister's decision. But Mr Twyford denied that, saying he was contacted shortly before the announcement, which was a clarification of the government's long-held view on not expanding regional fuel taxes outside of Auckland rather than policy made on the hoof.
She called me and said, Phil, what do you think about ruling out future regional fuel taxes? And we had a conversation about it yesterday, and I agreed, as you do with the Prime Minister, that actually the best thing that we could do right now is provide some certainty and some clarity that there will be no further regional fuel taxes.
Transport Minister Phil Twyford. The law that Labour passed to enable Auckland's regional fuel tax basically says that no other council can put a regional fuel tax in place during the first term of the government. But Mr Twyford says that there is an option for it to be looked at past the government's first term ending 2020. To AMP, the Trans-Tasman life insurance giant is planning to float its New Zealand wealth management and advice business next year. AMP is also planning to sell both its Australian and New Zealand wealth protection and mature businesses to British-based Resolution Life Group for $3.3 billion Australian dollars. AMP says it has a binding agreement with Swiss Re to reinsure its New Zealand retail wealth protection business, releasing up to $150 million to AMP ahead of the sale. The move follows a review of AMP's businesses after damaging revelations as a result of Australia's Royal Commission on Financial Services that forced the resignations of both its chief executive and chairman and other senior officers. The transactions are expected to be completed in the second half of 2019. Ngai Tahu will ditch the name of its Watson & Son honey unit, named after founder Dennis Watson, as it tries to stabilise the business. The iwi's annual report shows it had steady results, though, in other divisions. Ngai Tahu Holdings, the iwi's commercial unit, posted a $47.8 million operating surplus for the year June 2018, including an improved net profit of $150 million. However, Ngai Tahu Capital, the iwi subsidiary which directly holds Watson & Son and other investments, doubled its operating loss. NBR's Victoria Young spoke to iwi executives Mike Sang and Arihia Bennett about the troubled honey unit.
I mean, there's no doubt this year's result is a combination of the season as well as the discord, driven by difference of a view how to move forward between the main shareholders. Success this year was really the split of the company, so we each now own the parts we're most passionate about, and we've got 100% control. We have a particular way of running businesses. We like our governance and management split. There's just a bunch of things that we do across our whole portfolio, and the focus has been implementing those.
Large NZX-listed companies are taking more of an interest in New Zealand's hotel market, which is experiencing some of the tightest conditions recorded with a lack of supply, while tourism spend and numbers steadily rise. Property fund Augusta revealed it's starting a dedicated tourism fund and wants to acquire hotel assets in Auckland and Queenstown. Last week, Sky City told shareholders at its AGM it was interested in the sector, having previously announced plans to build a Queenstown hotel and more accommodation facilities in Auckland, including one separate to its casino facilities. Bailey's Hotel and Tourism Director Nick Thompson predicts more companies will move into hotel development and operation in coming years, given the forecast rise in tourism numbers. To tomorrow, look out for a political rap inquest. In this week's panel, they discuss regional fuel tax, can the Greens have two bites of the same cherry, and should political donations be more transparent? Speaking of which, tomorrow we also have Justice Minister Andrew Little saying what he plans to do to restore the public's trust in the way political donations are handled. So for more on these stories, head to our website and have a great evening.
To unlock your 2 free articles a week, head to nbr.co.nz.